Hey everybody, it's Jenna. Today I want to talk about a character who is incredibly near and dear to my heart. Green Arrow. Oliver Queen is truly my favorite male character in all of superhero fiction. Despite what you might think because of the simplicity of his gimmick and the ways that he's been portrayed in other media, there is truly no one else in this space quite like him. I love him so much, and it's not like I ever need an excuse to talk about him, but the universe just keeps giving me reasons to do so on camera. The first reason arrived during the DC All-In panel at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, with the announcement of an Absolute Green Arrow miniseries from writer Pornsak Pichetshote and artist Rafael Albuquerque. While this is Albuquerque's first time really drawing Ollie in a sequential solo context, Pichetshote has a unique history with the character, having previously written his Flashpoint universe one-shot all the way back in 2011, and having helped develop what would eventually become the CW's Arrowverse during his time working in DC's television department. The 6-issue miniseries is set in the Darkseid-controlled Absolute universe, which I've already sung the praises of on this channel over and over and over again, and which has already birthed tank-driving middle-class Batman and Wonder Woman from Hell, and the genre-redefining, totally breathtaking adventures of Absolute Martian Manhunter. The events of October's Absolute Evil one-shot, which will follow the villains of the individual Absolute books meeting up and maximizing their joint slay, will inspire Absolute Oliver Queen to become, quote, a billionaire standing up to the other billionaires. Basically, no other details are known at this point, although Pichetshote did acknowledge during the panel that Oliver, quote, looks, of all the characters, the most similar to the one in the DCU. I cannot overstate how much of a pleasant surprise this was for me. I have no doubt that there is audio or video footage of this panel that captured me faintly screaming from the back of the room. Just based on the cover for Absolute Evil, I was totally prepared for an Absolute Hawkman announcement, a book that I would still really like to see at some point, but I was not expecting to get Ollie, especially this early on in this universe. But there is honestly something brilliant about bringing him in this early, as the high concepts of this universe start to expand and cross over with each other and lay the groundwork for some sort of eventual Justice League. A guy with a bow and arrow is easy to underestimate. Until he's not. It feels like an echo for how early he joined the Justice League of America in the Silver Age, and even though he might look like his Earth 1 counterpart right now, I have a feeling that there is some sort of twist hiding underneath the surface. And I am so excited to see how the details of Ollie's world get twisted in this Absolute universe. Those Easter eggs and moments of discovery and oh my gosh, why has no one thought of that before have been one of my favorite parts of reading this universe so far, and I just know that there's going to be some of that here. What is Star City even like in this universe? If Roy, Mia, and Connor exist, what are they like? What about Green Arrow's Rogues Gallery? How does this Ollie feel about Chile? And the potential of an Absolute Black Canary has my head spinning. The book launches at some point in the spring of 2026, and even though it's currently only set for 6 issues, I would not be surprised at all if it becomes successful enough to be a 12-issue maxi series or an ongoing. Absolute Martian Manhunter already deservedly had that same fate, as did the current mainline Green Arrow book multiple times over, which I'll talk about in a minute. That Absolute Green Arrow announcement already felt like plenty, and then we somehow got even more. Batman, Green Arrow, The Question, Arcadia, a new miniseries that will be published under DC's Black Label imprint. It'll be written and drawn by Gabriel Hardman, whose work includes Green Lantern Earth 1 and concept art for movies like Logan and Interstellar. A listing for the collected edition surfaced online on the digital catalog Edelweiss, revealing that the book follows Batman, Ollie, and Vic Sage's The Question as they investigate a billionaire trying to build a floating utopia above the Arctic Circle. They each have their own reasons for doing this, with Oliver's being, quote, his infatuation with a militant climate justice activist. The description teases, quote, spectacular James Bond-style action sequences, as well as the 3 men being torn apart by their warring ideologies. Not only does this book just sound awesome, and a bit too relevant for our current moment, but it is the spiritual successor to another part of Ollie's history that I love. In 1988, writer Denny O'Neil and a slew of different artists brought to life Fables, a 3-part crossover told across the oversized annual issues of Detective Comics, Green Arrow, and The Question. While each story had its own standalone mystery and really deep examination of their respective heroes, the arc was tied together by the arrival of Lady Shiva and her sensei, who simultaneously want to impart wisdom on the 3 men and ask for their help with something. It is such a great crossover for so many reasons, including the first meeting of now rivals Shiva and Black Canary, but mainly because of O'Neill's clear, overwhelming love for the 3 main characters. He essentially revolutionized all of their titles over the course of his comic tenure, but his impact on Green Arrow cannot be overstated. Hard-traveling heroes, he and Neil Adams' run on Green Lantern in the 1970s, completely revitalized Ollie and Hal Jordan as characters, teaming them up on a cross-country road trip to fight both cosmic and street-level injustices. As I have tried to preach on this channel already so many times, you need to read Hard-Traveling Heroes before the Lantern series debuts in 2026. Not just because it is one of my favorite comic runs ever, but because it fundamentally changed the way that superhero stories deal with social issues and politics, all while laying the groundwork for Ollie, Hal, and Dinah's personalities today. So it was fun to see O'Neill return to Ollie and Dinah in the following decade with Fables, while they bump elbows with the other costume detectives that he's put his stamp on. And it is so lovely all these years later to see that trio back in the spotlight again. As I'm recording this, the publishing schedules for everything are a little ambiguous. Absolute Green Arrow is simply slated for spring of 2026, and the first issue of Arcadia will be released on November 26, 2025. So it'll presumably wrap up its run of single issues in early 2026 as well. And on top of that, there is still Chris Condon and Montos's mainline Green Arrow title, which will reach its 30th issue in November of 2025 and does not appear to be slowing down. As I hinted earlier, the initial relaunch of the book in 2023 by Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs went from 6 issues to 12 issues to a full-blown ongoing thanks to the reception from fans. That already felt like enough of a feat at the time, but this new reality where he's headlining 3 different books in a short span of time is even crazier. Ollie's publishing history has been interesting. He managed to be one of the few DC heroes, alongside the Trinity and Aquaman, to survive the anti-comics backlash and subsequent creative reinvention of the 1950s. He became a staple of the Justice League of America, despite his best efforts to frequently quit the team, and he regularly had his own solo adventures across a number of different anthology titles. And yet, it took more than 40 years after his debut for him to get his own truly solo book, with a 4-issue miniseries in 1983 from Mike Barr and Trevor Von Eden. Ever since then, his solo title has been defined by some big swings. Good, bad, and everything in between. But for me, it has always kind of felt like a triumph for him to even have a solo book at all, especially as everything in the industry and in the cultural perception of superheroes has evolved around him. There is one other point in time where you can technically argue that Green Arrow had 2 headlining books published at the same time. Beginning in 2012, there was an overlap between his New 52 run and the physical reprints of the Arrow tie-in comic. But I almost don't want to count that, in part because Arrow was so fundamentally different and in many ways reductive from a Green Arrow story. I will always have a soft spot for some parts of that show, and just for the impact of the Arrowverse as a whole. It is literally the reason why I professionally got into this industry. But in so many ways, it was trying to graft an imitation of Christopher Nolan's dark, modern Batman onto Ollie and his world, regardless of whether or not that fit in line with even his darker solo comics, and regardless of whatever cultural collateral damage would ensue from that. The show was often embarrassed to truly embrace Ollie's aesthetic, or politics, or villains, or supporting cast, and as glad as I am that it made more people aware of the character, it also left a lot of them completely unaware or completely apathetic to who he actually is. Since Arrow ended in 2020, we've started to step away from that, even with the whole turncoat moment in Absolute Power, and those steps have felt like a sprint since his solo book was relaunched in 2023. The fact that that book will most likely go into 2026 is impressive enough in this industry filled with needless reboots and renumberings, much less the fact that we're going to get 2 other books about him on top of it. One where his big personality and social justice warrior tendencies really get to shine, and another where his lore is treated with such reverence that it can be broken down and reinvented from the ground up. And he's still cameoing in other books. I kid you not, just as I was editing this video together and about to hit publish, an interview with friend of the channel Nicole Maines gave me another new thing to talk about. She and Jadzia Axelrod will be co-writing some sort of Justice League story next year, featuring Dreamer, Galaxy, and
Star Sapphire, Green Arrow, and Adam Strange.
And his older stories are getting reprinted in DC's incredible new compact and finest volumes. I haven't even had a chance to talk about his role in September's Deadpool Batman #1, which will feature a Green Arrow and Daredevil crossover story from Kevin Smith and Adam Kubert. The fact that Ollie is one of the first characters to be included in this new era of DC Marvel crossover, alongside a bunch of A-listers or recent fan favorites, is another sign to me that something is changing for the better. The preview pages for it look so good. I love how comically large the feather in his cap is, and I just know the story itself is going to be so much fun. I just really hope we get Dinah and Elektra for a panel as well. Plus, there's still the DCU of it all. After the whole hullabaloo about Garrett Dillahunt maybe playing Ollie on Lanterns, which I made a video about at the time before it was very quickly debunked, there's still some immediate questions about Ollie's fate in this new universe. Through episodes of the official Peacemaker podcast, James Gunn has been confirming which Easter eggs or offhanded jokes from season 1 are still canon in this new DCU. For example, Aquaman's rumored hookups with Fish and Economos' mention of Batmite are no longer canon. And literally, as I was writing this script, the reference to Matter Eater Lad in episode 4 was confirmed to still be canon, which honestly made my day. I am waiting with bated breath to find out if the reference to Ollie in the season 1 finale, and more specifically, the rumor about him being a very passionate brony, is still canon. I know there are much more significant canon issues from that episode that need to be addressed, but this one is important to me, to the point of my husband and I having a bet over how it'll be addressed. As I said in my video about the most recent Peacemaker trailer, I feel like these bits of decanonizing aren't to take things away, but to open the door to fresher and better storytelling down the line. And I know in my heart that that is the case for Ollie, regardless of however this particular reference shakes out, which is great because I feel like he has so much potential in this new DCU. Don't even get me started on the stories that I would tell with him if I could. Are you excited about Green Arrow's new books? What do you love about the character? Just talk about Green Arrow in the comments. It would make me extremely happy. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already done so. Also, this might be my only video this week unless some massive earth-shattering news drops, because it's my birthday on Friday. As always, you can follow me on social media at HeyIt'sJennaLynn. I'm trying to use Instagram and Threads more, so definitely give me a follow over there if you haven't already. Merch is available at the link in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, go read some comics.